It's a thing that this fictional thing I'd created. I'd watched lots of disaster films, I'd read lots of books about it, and fictional books about pandemics, and suddenly seeing it play out in the real world was horrible.
Imagine the pandemic was a video game. Well, 3 years ago, that's all it was. I sat down with James Vaughan, the man behind Plague Inc., which successfully predicted much of the virus, to find out how he's adapted to the reality of COVID-19.
I'm the creator of this game called Plague Inc., which sets to simulate how an infectious disease would spread around the world.
Time, 2104. 27-year-old female infected with unknown pathogen. Blood analysis indicates virus.
You launched then in 2012?
Yes.
And very rapidly, it seems from the outside, it was quite successful and it was popular in app stores. And
within a few hours, it had made its development cost back. I spent $2.5 grand making it, which at the time felt like a serious investment. That was my ability, my house deposit going down the drain. But it made that money back within a couple of hours. It was a viral success story. It only did well because people were playing it.
160 million people have downloaded James's game in the past decade. It now averages 40 to 50,000 new players every single day.
You've got the game open.
Yes.
How does it start? What do I do?
Various modifiers in the game. You choose your difficulty. You can choose how often people wash their hands, how hard doctors work. As the game progresses, we'll see these red dots down in China over here begin to slowly spread around the place. Now, at the moment, very, very basic still, but that will begin to grow.
I suppose then, fast forward to early last year, where you've been developing this game where the intention is to sort of wipe out the global population, then all of a sudden there is a virus that is kind of accelerating towards that as well. Can you take me back to the moment where you found out about the virus and that it was really starting to make headlines?
So it was a very, very difficult time for us, actually. I can remember first seeing the reports coming out of China. It didn't immediately set off huge alarm bells with me, because one thing I've learnt during the development of Plague is that there's always unknown, scary disease outbreaks popping up around the place. So it popped up on the radar, and then I think it was mid-January, end of January, when I started thinking, oh blimey, what's going on here? Like, it was seeing the parallels with my game playing out in the real world was a horrible experience for us. It's a thing that this fictional thing I'd created. I'd watched lots of disaster films, I'd read lots of books about it, and fictional books about pandemics, and suddenly seeing it play out in the real world was horrible.
In response to the COVID outbreak, the Plague Inc. team started out in early 2020 by donating money to help tackle the pandemic. But then another idea came up.
So when we were looking to give money to WHO and CEPI, one of the things they kept on saying was, well, it's great that you're donating money. Have you thought about doing a version of Plague Inc. where you turn it on its head and you're actually stopping a disease? Because Plague Inc. on its own helps inform people, but imagine how good it would be if people could be playing around with lockdowns and mask wearing and when to start developing a vaccine. The more these conversations happened, I thought, well, you know what, yes, right, we should do it.
James's team then came up with a new iteration of their game with the help of World Health Organization experts. They named it Plague Inc. The Cure.
Are there things that you sit there as an outsider and looking at some of the things that you've built into your models, gone, actually, there might have been better tech solutions for this sort of thing?
Oh, blimey. I think for me, the biggest thing has been a failure to combat misinformation sooner. It's being combated averagely okay now, but they could have been far more done on that sooner and before it had taken root as much. And I think the whole concept of the misinformation in sort of exploiting the channels that various tech companies have built is a huge problem for with the pandemic, and we're still seeing this reverberate through at the moment, maybe more so now than in the early days of the pandemic, but even beyond the pandemic as well. It's that for me is the big thing which I think tech companies should be doing more to combat.
If you're playing The Cure, what would be the step you would be taking right now?
I think for me it's about vaccine distribution everywhere, and this is one of the reasons why we wanted to support CEPI. Their mission is about getting vaccines. They work with Gavi and others to get vaccines all around the world. Like you've got all these pots of non-vaccinated places wonderful breeding grounds for it. So in the game, we make it easy. We say once you've got the vaccine, it goes to everybody, democratically, fairly. We're not seeing that here. So get the vaccines out to people as fast as possible, but really it's actually not even about that anymore. Now it's about education and information. It comes back to the misinformation I said. That is our biggest threat